because you also have separatists targeting journalists. So it's become very dangerous to be a journalist in Cameroon.
So what is the way forward at the level of your institution? You've been fighting hard to protect journalists. What's the way forward?
The way forward is for the public in Cameroon to understand that when we talk about press freedom, we are not talking about only the press freedom of journalists. Press freedom is important for citizens to enjoy their rights, to enjoy their right to know. And I think that when journalists, when the public understands that their rights are being undermined because journalists are not able to do their jobs properly, I think that sort of criticism and pressure on the government might just swing the pendulum towards freedom for all.
Thank you, Angela Quinta, the program coordinator for the Committee to Protect Journalists Africa Bureau. Thank you so much for your time this morning.
Thanks so much. All the best.
Thank you. We are back in the studio. Erin Nanji, you listen to what the program coordinator for the Committee to Protect Journalists African Bureau just said, that the policy makers, they are not willing to give the press the freedom that it deserves.
Bon, peut-être avant que je ne revienne sur votre question, je voudrais déjà élaguer les volets dont j'ai soulevé tantôt. Vous savez, aujourd'hui au Cameroun, comme dans certains pays, nous avons les journalistes de la presse privée et ou alors des médias privés et les journalistes de étatiques des médias capitaux publics. Oui, donc, pour ceux-là, bon, je vais prendre le cas de ceux des médias privés. Là, nous avons affaire à ceux-là qui, parfois, se retrouvent en train d'être habillés ou alors porter comme ça une camisole de force par rapport au... j'allais dire comme ça, à l'État qui les impose une certaine ligne éditoriale. Donc, par rapport à ceux à capitaux privés, vous allez constater que pour les journalistes qui sont de ce deuxième groupe, sont ces journalistes-là qui sont parfois aussi muselés parce qu'il y a des informations, parfois, ces informations qui peuvent apporter peut-être un soulèvement qui ne sont pas, dont ils ne communiquent pas. Donc, pour cela, vous allez constater que ils sont maintenus. Mais par contre, pour le secteur privé, où il y a beaucoup plus une expression, une libéralisation d'expression. Mais malheureusement, ils sont toujours parfois pourchassés et parfois menacés de fermeture. Donc voilà un peu les réalités de ces pays. Mais quoi qu'on dise, aujourd'hui, les journalistes, aujourd'hui, vous êtes un contrepoids, comme je disais tantôt, pour le gouvernement. Parce que, voyez-vous, aujourd'hui, avec les informations que nous avons parfois en temps réel.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, Erin Nanji, sorry, we have to cut. We have indication that Randy Josa, BBC correspondent, is on the line to Yaoundé. Randy, good morning and happy World Press Freedom Day.
Hi, good morning. Good to be on your show. Happy Press Freedom Day to you too.
Yes, my very first question, that's the lone question I have for you. How safe or how dangerous it is for you or journalists to practice in Cameroon?
First, it's an exciting thing to be a journalist. It's an important profession, and for me, it's been a mix of several things. You know, I enjoy some level of press freedom, but constantly there is also this consciousness that what you like doing, the reports you like doing, the freedom you want to exercise can always attract so much trouble to you. And the examples are many. We have colleagues who've lost their lives, who've suffered arrests, some who have simply disappeared, others on exile because of the work they do. And you know the importance of journalism in the country. We are those who watch, we are those who report on the excesses or the impunity or the corruption or the threat on people's freedoms. You know, without the press, government, policymakers themselves will not have access to that critical thinking, to that criticism which they need to make better the policies and governance in a country. And you know, we also have this specific reality now with the conflict in the English-speaking regions, Northwest and Southwest, Boko Haram terrorism in the far north, and the war in next door Central Africa, the refugee situations. So it's very challenging for journalists. We also have this threat to freedom to assemble. You know, the challenges opposition parties face in this country, challenges the civil society or opinion leaders are constantly facing in their country. So reporting on all of these issues would always put you in conflict with the authorities who failed to recognize the importance and the practice of journalists in the country. They see us journalists as enemies, you know, which should not be the case. I mean, we are the conscience of society. I mean, our contribution to the education and enlightenment of the public cannot be taken for granted. But unfortunately, the press freedom we should be enjoying is really in trouble.
Randy, let me ask you another question. We're talking about so many actors who are calling on the government to enact the Freedom of Information Act. Do you think that this press freedom that is not fully enjoyed in Cameroon has something to do with this Information Act?
Absolutely. Because for journalists to do their work well, they must be protected by the law. The authorities have to be in a position where they are compelled to comment, to give out information on demand by journalists. The press is there to serve the governed, not to serve the governors. So we need a law that would make it obligatory for people in position, for government officials, appointed officials, elected officials, to give out information demanded by the press and also by the public. Without that, you know, we'll continuously be reporting or even not reporting on serious issues. I'll give you an example. There was a time some apes died in a reserve in the East region, and I got to the Ministry of Wildlife to get a reaction from one of the directors, and he put me on hold. He said I should go and do a questionnaire, drop the protocol in his department, and he would get back to me. It took 3 months. One morning, I was just called. They say, hey, the director wants to meet you now. You submitted this questionnaire, now he wants to speak. That was a story I had long forgotten about. So how can journalists put themselves in a situation where you report on an incident, and then you keep saying, we tried to get to the authorities and they were not available? How can you do that for virtually every report you are doing? So it's scandalous for a country where the government believes that because there are over 100 radio stations or more than 500,000 or 500 newspapers, so there is freedom of a press in the country. It's a complete contradiction.
Randy, thank you so much for your time. Thank you. We hope to have you some other time. Have a great day in Yaoundé.
Cheers. Bye.
We are back. Eric Nanji, we are concluding with the program. Yes.
Oui, peut-être ce qu'il faut dire, c'est que la liberté de la presse aujourd'hui est compressée par un groupuscule au niveau étatique qui ne voudrait pas que les populations aujourd'hui soient informées et pour les conserver dans ce que je vais appeler l'obscurantisme. Parce que, voyez-vous, dans un pays où les populations ne sont pas informées, ça profite beaucoup à ce réseau mafieux étatique. Si je le dis, vous voyez que depuis un bout de temps, vous allez constater, nous avons en temps réel parfois des décrets ou alors des notes de service qui circulent sur les réseaux sociaux. Et là, c'est beaucoup plus parce que les journalistes aussi disent, ok, bon, il faudrait donc qu'on entre et qu'on aille à la source de l'information. Donc, et au péril, parfois au péril de leur vie. C'est pour cela que nous, au PCRA, nous considérons toujours les journalistes comme les soldats de l'information. Donc, lorsqu'on est un soldat et qu'on va en guerre pour l'information, pour distiller cette information, c'est un métier noble. S'il y avait à refaire, je pense que je serais journaliste.
D'accord. Eh bien, si on vous poserait la question, quelles sont les facilités qu'on devrait évoquer au moment où nous nous situons dans un contexte où la liberté de la presse semble être muselée? Alors, vous répondrez quoi?
Bon, le contexte aujourd'hui camerounais n'est pas favorable aux journalistes à cause de beaucoup plus des différentes crises qui sévissent au niveau du Cameroun. En dehors des crises, nous avons aussi des scandales qui viennent encore additionner dans les maux que le Cameroun actuel est en train de subir. Mais ce qu'il faut dire aujourd'hui, si je reviens déjà au niveau des scandales, je prends Covid, Canigate et autres, avec encore ce qu'on peut encore appeler maintenant Savannah Gate. Donc si je reprends dans tous ces gates-là, je pense que les journalistes, parce qu'il faut prendre avec des pincettes les informations pour les distiller, il faudrait les prendre avec les pincettes. Mais d'ailleurs, ce n'est pas une leçon de journalisme que je suis en train d'apprendre parce que je ne suis pas professionnel du métier. Donc je sais que c'est ce qu'ils font, mais malheureusement, aller à la source de l'information, c'est là où on va donc retrouver les journalistes parfois du privé qui ont cette difficulté comparativement à ceux des capitaux publics. On a
comme impression, pour terminer très rapidement, on a vraiment comme impression...
Avant ça, the producer just indicating to me that the regional bureau chief in Bamenda, Charles Kebwa, has joined us. Kebwa Charles, good morning and welcome.
Yeah, good morning to all in the studios.
Happy World Press
Freedom Day. Good morning to Cameroonians following us on this World Press Freedom Day.
Yes, I understand you calling from Bamenda. So can you present the image or the situation of press freedom in the Northwest region? We know the region is one of the regions plagued with the socio-economic and political upheavals. What is the situation of press freedom in Bamenda?
Well, the press in the Northwest, as of the moment, we're celebrating on different platforms. But all of it, we are celebrating the World Press Freedom Day. At the Regional Assembly Northwest here, there is a small team that is actually trailing some journalists in a 2 days workshop. Just like equally journalists of the Cameroon Association of journalists from the Northwest chapter will be celebrating itself also at Ayaba Hotel in the presence of Northwest Governor Aldolf Lele-Lafrique. Just equally Kamasu and others. So just to tell you that the press in the Northwest region, faced with the ongoing socio-political crisis, we are tapped on both fronts. Given that, though you struggle to navigate to get ends meet, to make sure that you disseminate just exactly what you've seen, especially with those of us of My Media Prime TV. We've been doing a lot to, disseminate just what we see. But it's somewhere along the line, you may be tagged. Yeah, you may be tagged by the non-state armed men or even, by the state men. So it's difficult to say at a moment, how a journalist navigates. But we will say it's thanks to God. It's thanks to God. We keep going and we're going, doing everything that there should be peace.
Okay, Charles Kebua, thank you very much. Our time is up. Thank you for their contribution this morning from Northwest region of the country. I want to thank Angela Quintel, who is the regional or coordinator for Committee to Protect Journalists. We are talking about African region. She was on the line to New York this morning to talk to us. We equally have Eric Nanji, who is an active member of the PCRN political party. Thank you for coming too, sir.
C'est moi qui vous remercie, et comme je vous ai dit une fois, je pense que j'aurais à faire une pétition pour que l'émission essaye d'aller un peu.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Et je dis
Management will see into that. Thank you to televiewers of My Media Prime for watching this other edition of the program that was dedicated to the International or World Press Freedom Day that is celebrated every 3rd day of May each year. The program was produced for us by Christain Tebong, Etape, Quentin, and myself, Lasha Kingsley. We're here for the presentation. We're hoping to be back tomorrow for another edition or fresh edition of the program. Have a blessed day. Bye-bye.